Going live. We're ready. Hello, everyone. I am just trying to get myself organized. I usually have Joey here helping me, and there we go. We're live. Okay. But I just want to make sure everything was all connected. He's usually doing a lot of stuff on the back end to help me out here so I can focus on who we're bringing on. So, hey, tree huggers and tree lovers, thank you so much for being here today in our lunch break. I hope that you set your alarms because we've got an incredible woman on here today, the natural entrepreneur, Michelle Boshard, and I probably said her name wrong, but we'll fix that whenever she comes on. So here at 100 for Trees, just want to let you guys know that our vision here is that one person can make a difference. And whenever I started this, people told me, "Well, what can you do? You're one person. There's so many trees that are being cut down. What can you do?" Well, I like to run and I can run a lot. And so I decided that I can run a mile and plant a tree. And so what I do is I run 100 miles every month all year long to raise awareness and enough funds to plant trees. We did it all of 2023, and we are off to a good start of doing that for all of 2024 also. So we'll be starting and keeping you guys updated for the month of February here pretty soon. But in collaboration with that, I have met some amazing people along this journey. And listening to their stories has impacted me so much. I have felt compelled to share their story with all of y'all. These are amazing people, and today is no exception. We have the natural entrepreneur on here today. I met her about a year ago, and her story was amazing. She's somebody who has come through many challenges that some of them are daily challenges all day long that she never gets a break from. And yet she continues to follow her passion. And part of her passion is serving others, which so many people who come on here, it's a common theme. And she has done it in a very unique space, in a bold way. And I would love to bring her in so all of you can hear from her. So we're going to bring in and add to the stage Miss Michelle Boshard. How do I say that?
That
Boshard?
was really, really close. A lot closer than lots of other people. You did good.
Well, you tell us, what is it? How do we say it? Because we want to get it right.
It's Boshard. Yep.
Boshard.
I've had Boshard because lots of, up in Canada here, we speak English and French. So it's Boshard. No, it's Boshard. It's actually used to be Boshard from Holland. And then my great grandfather came over and made it easier by calling it Boshard. So.
Well, we already love you, Michelle, and thank you so much. We are so happy to have you here, y'all. She is a busy woman. It has taken a while to get her on here, which is a testament to how much she is doing for other people and how much she is balancing. And speaking of doing so much and kind of that feeling of sometimes the plate spinning and having to run around and do them, I would love to hear in your own words, maybe first of all, why we call you the natural entrepreneur. And then if you want to step into your story of sort of where some of this began and kind of walk us through that.
Oh, well, I'm a tree hugger like you. That was one of the first things I noticed about you, actually, was being outside and connected to nature. I get it actually from my mom, who made these paintings up here, and it passed last March, actually. So, but I find that, I have a science background, actually environmental sciences. So I'm really into nature, and I use nature also energetically just to ground myself, clear my head. But I also find it teaches me a lot about business. So I was out walking, thinking about my online offer and trying to do things and calm my nerves and clear my head. And it just came to me, business has been so much of us, and we try and fit ourselves in other people's boxes. It's do things this way, do things that way. And I'm like, you know what? With my life and my responsibilities, I need this to be natural for me. And I'm like, oh, I'm the natural entrepreneur. So that's how that came out.
I love that. I love that. Sometimes I mute myself because I have a tendency to be like, yeah, right. Go. Yeah, sister. And that, so a lot of times I just mute myself. Yes. And y'all, you should check out her Facebook page. Let me pop it up here just real quick, because on her Facebook page, she has images on there. As some of you know, I'm a Star Wars fan. She has images in there that are straight from the Ewoks indoor, walking around these huge ferns, beautiful, lush places that she walks. And and I don't know if the artisticness comes from your mom, but she's very good at photographing it and conveying 100 words with just a picture. And so go check her out, for many reasons, but those images that she has are beautiful. So thank you. Okay. So
I love to do that because it's actually part of my mindfulness practice. I feel like when I'm in nature, if something catches my eye, even just like a tiny thing, it's like, okay, let's pay attention to the beauty around us and be able to connect with that. So then I get like real up close to a mushroom. And the other day I was out there and I was looking at this mushroom on the tree, and I look up and there's these huge scratches on the tree. So there's some cool pictures recently of cougar scratches. I have a suspicion that it was carrying a kill up into the tree, and but it was an ethereal moment for sure. This is one of those. Look
yes.
around.
Right. I've had those running.
And here on the West Coast, and actually that happens to be one of the animals that I, if you had a totem or something like that, that happens to be one of the animals that I like think highly of and connect with. And so it was quite something to me to come across those marks. But here on the West Coast, we have like a really unique sort of set ecosystem. And I love systems altogether, but that ecosystem, and we'll talk about that in a bit maybe. But our ecosystem has these wonderful, unique trees, and this beautiful arbutus tree had these scratches in them. So it is a really hard wood, so those are they gotta have like quarter size claws, right? And I look at my house cat and I think, okay, I know the damage you can inflict on me,
right? Times like 100. Yeah. Yes. Amen to that. I love how you were mentioning nature. Obviously, there's that connection. I've always been able to feel that nature connection from you. I think I've seen that more in your photographs and on your page. And I love you bringing that in. It shows a very unique and natural flow into into exactly what you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit about before this natural flow? I know whenever I met you there, you had some sudden things that had just happened in your life. And if you don't mind sharing some of that, kind of walking us through the pre-natural entrepreneur.
Absolutely, because I was like basically the opposite of natural. And I'll tell you why. And it let's all starts about a year and a half ago. Well, maybe not even. That starts a long time ago, but I have a son on the autism spectrum. He's turned 19 now, but he's unable to speak, and he self-injures and hurts himself and has hurt others. Puts his head through drywall and windows and that sort of thing. So he's a great guy and actually very friendly and quite intelligent, but can't communicate. And so I wouldn't like to walk around with a piece of duct tape on my mouth all day long and just try and get my needs met. So he's really my hero because he tolerates more in a day than, most people have to deal with as an adult, in a year. So, his body and all his issues, medical issues are quite complex. And so, it's been a real journey for our family and for me as a human, a mom, to support him and his younger sister and in balancing their needs with the rest of life, right? And every parent has those balance needs. It's just sometimes there's these extra, 40 doctor's appointments a year and, these extra layers that come with complex needs kids that, kind of frankly wear on you. And you're forced into thinking about these things for your health. So I was literally got to that point where I was redlined, in a nutshell. I had a government job, 9-to-5 job, supporting 40 to 50 military veterans with high needs. My mom was in a care facility. I had my high needs son whose medical stuff and parenting stuff was one thing, but then I also was organizing his school and also organizing a company to organize the workers for his homeschool because there weren't any, and other parents needed that too. So I had a care company of team of 8 that I was running, supporting 15 families, my mom in facility, my government job, supporting a bunch of vets there, my daughter who had been impacted. It impacts you when you experience random violence in your home. And so who had been impacted and had her own set of issues, and my spouse who was at the time who was working. And yeah, it just kind of red line and just like an engine. And, you can point fingers all which ways. And in the end, it doesn't matter. What you need is your own internal locus of control so that you can rebuild and truly heal and reformulate your life. And so that wasn't how I felt in the process. But over this year, so the relationship ended, the business closed, we sold the house, the kids were uprooted, and I bought a new house with the kids and moved with the kids. My mom passed away shortly thereafter. I had to rebrand my coaching. I had started doing digital online, helping people with their online offers. I had done coaching around that, and I had to kind of refigure all of that. And it was really just, the whole post life change, empty, also combined with empty nesting because my son was leaving, organizing all his adult care. So it was just like a really intense period. And so through that, I had to reach for tools, and I had to reach just to doggy paddle. And I reached for coaches, I reached for, healers, I reached for, business advisors, I reached for, all of the spiritual guidance. And thankfully, my experience of helping, case manage veterans' lives kind of came in, and my son's, interdisciplinary care came in handy in kind of like being able to, facilitate my own pathway with a lot of help. So it's just been a very transformative year. And yeah, I'm 180 degrees from being, the chill, calm, natural entrepreneur I am now. But there's been some really key factors along the way that have played in. So yeah, I don't know, if that answers your question.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love you just expressing. I think a lot of people can relate to feeling that, you didn't use this word, but I'm going to use this word, overwhelmed with life. Just the things that life has a tendency to stack at times. And it sounds like instead of taking it and creating a story and being like, oh, here I am now, you went inside, which is the toughest thing to do. And when you went inside, all of this was born from that. And it became this catalyst, or it appears that you used it as a catalyst to propel you into something that is now a far happier, that word happy, I'm not like crazy about that word, but for lack of a better word, more peaceful, more in your vibe space.
Yeah, well, and I think everybody has that own unique vibe. And I feel like everyone has these journeys. My journey was this, but everybody has their own journey, and we're here, we're spiritual beings having a human experience here on Earth School, and that we're learning what we need to learn as we go through our path. So yeah, I do feel like I'm at, grade 2 maybe now. But I really strongly feel, and I did, prior to, the before times, the pandemic, I had already started a lot of personal development stuff during the pandemic. I, pivoted to, like Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi and, like all the big, John Assaraf and Marie Morrissey and Natalie Level and all, Gary Vee and all the names, right? And so like you need to feed and nourish that nourish, grow naturally, that
Yes.
augment what the universe or spirit or whatever you call it for you, whatever's natural for you,
Mhm.
you nourish that along, and you try and understand the lessons that you're being giving, because I do strongly feel like it's that second arrow story. Like the first arrow that hits, but it hurts, but the second arrow is yourself. You shoot that into yourself about how you react, and in between the space of something happening and your reaction, there's a pause that you can take, and that you can decide to create your own reality, and you can choose to generate and manifest the things that you want, because it's our subconscious and our conscious minds that control our own realities. So did a lot of learning about all that jazz too, and it's I'm not like, I'm a science geek, really, and
I
I'm
love
going
geeks.
into the woo and the social services, and oh my gosh, I don't know what's this, what is this anyway.
I like that about you. I like it. Can we go a little bit? I'd love to hear more about this if you don't mind just tapping into it. You were talking about, I love how you use the arrow analogy, but you were talking about there, this earth school and sort of like, yeah, this bigger picture, sort of like that 30,000-foot view. As you become more introspective, it's almost like you get this higher frequency, I like to call it, higher vibe that you vibrate on. And when you're higher like that, your perspective is different.
Totally.
So can you share a little bit about that with us?
Well, sure, and it's tied into that whole creating your own reality kind of thing, and one of like, so I kind of feel like I was way hard into the red, and then the universe, and I'm a frying pan learner. Like, it
Okay.
has to knock me over the head with things.
I
Like,
was
if
going to
it,
ask you what that
because
meant.
it whispers, and then it raises its voice, and
Wait.
then and usually I have gotten better. And that actually was the biggest, one of the biggest signals of my life was this, last year. It's like, okay, we actually do have to slow down to speed up. We do have to go inside to show up outside. And that our external environment is, I think it's Viktor Frankl just recently posted a quote from him about,
He's
our
great.
external environment is just the creation of what's
Mhm.
actually going on in our minds. And I mean, it's real.
Yes.
but
Yeah.
we bring our realities into being, and so, yeah, that slowing down to speed up and going inside to get the results you want outside is
Yeah.
sort of one of the biggest pieces that I learned. But I digress. Your actual question, can you say
This
it
is
again?
not digressing. This is great. Yeah. Just
It's the first
roll.
thing. Yeah, it's the first thing that kind of like popped up. But you wanted to know more about like how
Well,
I got.
you had mentioned that this is like Earth School,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
I love that analogy. I'd love to hear you talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, so that was sort of like my grade 1 and 2 lessons, my lessons in this last earth school round is, basically, you're you have to kind of like how it all works. They don't teach us this in
Mhm.
school, like they don't like talk about like real, you know things. They don't talk about taxes, they don't, or how to manage your money. They don't talk about relationships, how to interact
Amen.
with people. They don't talk about like the important stuff that actually but this was a lesson that I think, every, and maybe they're starting to, but yeah, that their inner guidance, and you're valid, and what you want as what shows up as you wanting and desiring something is actually your soul trying to move you towards your path and navigate the universal clockwork so that you're living your true purpose. And sometimes we block that purpose because of fear, because of, like all the lizard brain stuff. And I learned all about that lizard brain neurology stuff from having to help my son, because autism is a very real thing that you're wired differently, and so you have to learn about the differences of your neurological processes and theirs, and how things work. And So I learned a lot about, I've learned more from my son than I have probably anywhere else. And it's been a joy. But, and any mom will always go to the mat for her child. But it's been a unique experience to be able to grow and change in order to serve his needs. And then it got to the point where it's like, okay. And I don't know if any of your listeners will recognize this, but moms will frequently turn off the "what about me" thing. And I have a feeling that it's, there's specific neurological reasons for that. Like, you can't say no to a baby that you're trying to keep alive to perpetuate your own DNA forward, right?
Right.
And so I think women like literally have a switch somewhere they haven't found yet about you can't say no. But then you gotta get to the age where they're empty nesting. And I'm just sort of realizing this lately, and especially our generation right now, Gen Xers, is like really in this sort of transition period where you kind of like, it's like empty nesting. And you know what? Clean up your own dishes. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You got this, sort of thing.
I believe in you.
Right. You go. And no, really, you go. And so, so I kind of got there. Like, that's what this red line was. And while I was giving and giving and giving, and I don't do anything kind of like half-assed, pardon my French, but so I was like pedal to the metal on all of it. You ask my business coach, it's ridiculous. And so I realized, there has to be a regulator. There has to be, right, that's me. So these skills needed, right? We need these skills to do. And it's like any other skill set. And I never thought, when I went into sciences, I thought, okay, that'll be my thing. And then I went into sort of social services because of my son and got into almost social work with military veterans and helping people manage their lives. And that was a whole other things. And then, there's all sorts of, and then business, I was like, I never thought that I would be a business person. I never thought I would feel comfortable selling things. Ew, right? And then I realized that, okay, well, without actual transactions, I can't actually serve. I can't actually care. I can't actually do. And I can't, because I need to value myself too. So this was an evolutionary piece to the natural entrepreneur, whereas, you're kind of shifting into this empty nester phase, and you're like, okay, yeah, professionally and personally, I need to understand myself and do for myself and balance myself. It's that whole cliche thing about that, put your oxygen mask on, right? Put it on. How often do I hear that? But yeah, right. And then I thought, okay. And when you step back and look at it, that 30,000 foot view, you're like, wow, I actually did pretty good, and I have some skills, and it's these, I can apply these and I can do stuff. And then you start to, well, what would I like to do? And a year ago today, if you'd ask Michelle what Michelle would have liked, it'd be all blah, 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 blah. And now I'm like clear, I'm focused. I know what I want. I know how I want to help. I know what I don't want, more importantly. And that's all just come really clear, and it sort of clicks. And so then you start to build the systems that you need to put all of what you want in place, and then everything just flows.
That is great. That's so nature. It's how nature does it. It builds systems and water flows. Do you think you could have come to where you are now without going through everything that you've been through? No.
It's literally why I'm here. Like, I think it's part of that soul's path.
I was just about to ask you that. Do you think you came down here like there was a pre-agreement? I'm somebody who believes we make agreements before we come here. Do you think, what do you think?
I'm getting all into that. I'm learning about that because as this sort of stuff sort of started to click, and I'm like, what the heck? My science brain is like, does not calculate. How is this?
That logic. Yes.
And I'm like, okay, there must be, we didn't know about, E equals MC squared at some point either, right? So there's another set of knowledge here that I haven't experienced, embodied in myself that I need to. And so I started to explore the spiritual, sort of angle to it. And I do feel that, who said it the other day? Well, Tony Robbins says that, business actually ends up becoming a very spiritual exercise. Business is spiritual, and it's an evolution. Stevie Marie, I had her on my podcast. She's a beautiful woman that you should interview. Amazing. And I co-host the Badass Entrepreneurs Network with her and Amy Mykowski. But anyway, Stevie had said, it's an evolution. And I think she was quoting someone else. So we're telephoning here. But the evolution, business is a personal evolution, because as you face business challenges, as you're trying to serve your clients better and more and solve their problems and meet a need, you have to grow and learn, evolve and change and develop skills and all of the things and then that adds to your ability to serve. So.
That's so true. That is absolutely true. So you said you're kind of new on this, not new, you're beginning to explore, and it's so interesting. Sorry, let me finish that thought. You're beginning to explore the spiritual side, realizing that it merges and meshes with business, because business is spiritual, as you were quoting Tony Robbins there. What kind of things are you, when you say that, what type of things are you looking at? What does that look like?
As a matter of fact, it would happen tonight is an episode of that where your inner guidance and your personal connection to source can help you overcome things like self-doubt. And so tonight I'm going to be on an episode of Soul to Soul Living's Self-Doubt Eraser. Anyway, it's about listening to your inner guidance so that you can feel more confident in your business decisions or your personal decisions or any decision in your life in whatever realm, relationship, wealth, finance, health, whatever. And I really do feel now that it's become a part of my toolbox. As a human, as a manager, as a business manager, as a mom, to check in with my own self and my own guidance. And because I previously relied on, we rely on systems, for the scaffolding, for the architecture, for the infrastructure, for our stuff, right? Like you wouldn't have roads, or you wouldn't have a school system, or you wouldn't have a medical system if you didn't have systems, right? But the system can't define you. Those systems are human creations, and those are things that can and should, in some people's opinions, be changed. But if you look at the system as defining the edges of your boxes, right? You're never going to get out of it. And the only way to really move forward and grow and expand and shift your reality is to go inwards into yourself and listen to that connection to source, why your soul's purpose and why you're here. So that's why it has to be natural for your business setup, I feel. And one of the things I do in my coaching and my tech builds for my clients, to promote them with their online, I'm a digital doula. I help people.
I love that.
Help them birth their, I had to go with the natural. and I home birth both my kids. So
wow, high five.
Yeah, high five. Yeah, ow. And so when you it has to be natural for you. And so when everybody's different, some people love speaking, some people hate cameras, some people, love tech, some people hate tech, some people are, really good at one thing and don't want to do others. Some people are multi-potentialites and can do everything, and so you have to, and so why should we artificially fit ourselves in these boxes and these teachings and these, schools of thought, instead of treating them like a smorgasbord and saying, okay, yeah, I like this, I want that, because your inner wants and drives and resonances with different things really, are you and your soul trying to move you towards your path. So if you pick the things out of the systems that work and build something, your own system, your own offer ecosystem, I call it, with a business, then you can, you can use the tech, you can assign, develop teams, you can do everything you want, but it has to fit. Like for me, it has to fit around my life. Aside from the fact that my coaching is doing well, my government job, 9-to-5 job, didn't, going to sit in a cubicle to get, yelled at on the phone frequently. When my son didn't have a worker to support him and he needs help getting dressed, wasn't going to work for me. Right. And so, but I also was very afraid. And, like for a long time I held on, and that was part of the red zone, right? Like you hold on to these fears. Yeah. And I can't, or I don't deserve, or, I'm not good enough, or what will people think, or what's going to happen, like all of those, frankly, bullshit stories.
Bullshit. Absolutely. I was just thinking that word.
And then I go back to the neurology. Thank you, brain. Thank you, brain. Thank you, lizard brain, for trying to keep me safe, because, that is a real thing. But I will, and I will come up with another solution, right? Like, so it has to be a natural solution for you. So I like to think about things that way. And I have been way down in the, like when my son in 2016 had a really difficult, I'll say, time in the public school system, because the public school system is not set up for him. And the punchline of it was, he was like buzzer locked into a room with 2-on-1 essentially guards, and zipped into a tent when he hurt himself, not allowed outside, not allowed peer access, made to wear a helmet he hated and made it worse. And basically they had a school shooter protocol in place if he got out of his room. So it was intense. And there, I did a lot, I tried to maintain positive working relationships. But essentially, I was advised by a lawyer I had a class action lawsuit. So, that's, where the steamroller of a system can push you. And I ended up, day before my 41st birthday, major depressive disorder diagnosis with, and off work for 6 months trying to, nurse stress injury. Yeah. And, I learned from my serving military veterans that stress injuries are physical injuries. We just can't see them. And so, those types of impacts, while they might look fine on the outside, have a significant impact on our thinking. And so that was actually part of the start of my journey into the self-development and, mental health preservation, the need to do this, work-life balance. I'm like, okay, I'm here. This was part of the whole natural entrepreneur development too. It's like, okay, here's all the work and all the things, and here's all the personal stuff and all the things. I'm like,
get in there.
I tried the 3 big rocks in the jar first, and then add the pebbles, and then add the sand, and then add the water. No, I needed to integrate, man. Yes. So that's why I feel also strongly that business and personal are becoming more and more integrated. And so, it's not just go to work, come home, or work at home. It's the next step is going to be, how do we live and have money come to us? Yeah. And nature is a great model for that, because you literally have, and my formal degrees in freshwater science. So I studied geology and hydrology, water and climatology, air and plant and biome stuff, all the ecosystem stuff, and how it all interacts integratively. And so that was my science degree. And so I kind of just like, when I go out walking in the woods and I look how, there's that insect helping that plants, and there's the roots of the plants in the microme, the mycorrhizae and the connectiveness of all of the organisms, and then the animals that depend on all of that and how they interact, and how the physical environment interacts with the alive environment. Yes. And I just thought that's the way business needs to be, right? It needs to be a natural ecosystem that you function in, and you create that for yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Michelle, this is amazing. This is wonderful. I so appreciate you making the time and coming on here and talking to us, sharing some of this. You have such a unique perspective. I really appreciate you taking us on the journey. I sometimes say in here that I am somebody who cannot relate to somebody who's the finished product, the polished, cribs, cars, clothes. I kind of get tired of hearing that. I want to see the process and walk with you through it. And you seem to be someone who's very authentic about these are some of the real world challenges. This is actually not a challenge in a sense because I pulled this from it. And then now look at this. I've been able to use this as a springboard for that. And thereby sharing that, you are showing it like, hey, y'all, this is how it goes. This is, come on. I like to tell people, come on, let's get on the train. Let's all go together. You may have to shovel some coal here every once in a while, but we're all on the train.
Well, I saw a clip by Simon Sinek recently about, how you find out your why. And it was really interesting. He said, basically ask, not a friend or not a family member or parent or anything like that, but like a best friend, why are we friends? And then they'll say, oh, you're this and that and the next thing. At some point, they'll get to the point where you say, well, they start to talk about themselves. And they say, I just feel X around you, or you really just do this for me. And that is them articulating your value out in the world. And then, I really feel like when I think about that, and I asked some of my friends, and it was kind of like uncomfortable, but it was good feedback because I was like, yeah, that is me. And it was basically, I love to hold a vision and then make it like real. So like creating the systems, building the things that are going to logistically function well and like an ecosystem functions. I love to build the things in place to help people get where they want to go. It doesn't need to be my vision. I just like to be able to hold it and help you get there. So I've really appreciated. I mean, you're helping me get there by telling folks about what I do. And I have really admired the way that you have you and Joey have created such a positive, uplifting, go get them kind of environment, and bringing back some of that enthusiasm that I think the whole last 5 years has just really, like, we're ushering into a new epoch, and let's get some enthusiasm. Let's have some fun.
Yes.
Life does not have to be that freaking, and if it is, you're not in your flow. Not in your flow, babe. We need to be in your flow. So much better. Trust me.
Oh, I love that. That's her right there. Did y'all see that? That's Michelle right there. I love it. And if you are lucky enough to get to work with her, that will spill over you. She's great at systems, y'all. She will help you. She and I are kind of similar in this, that we kind of lean towards the techie, and Michelle is great at getting you beyond that mindset of thinking that's in your way or that's a problem. She'll usher you through and walk you every step of the way. And if I'm not mistaken, you have a course where you actually walk them through, you teach them so that you can then be hands off and they can just run with it. Am I correct in that?
I have three quick things. Is I can do a snapshot assessment of you and give you my recommendations. You can take that away and walk away with it. Mm-hmm. I have an 8-week program where if you're just thinking about maybe having an online offer and you're not quite sure, it's an 8-week clinic. We build the ship while you sail it. Like, we build your business in 8 weeks or your first offer. Mm-hmm. And then I have a 3-month program where I actually build it with you, and I listen to your vision, and I co-create. It's my co-creation program. Mm-hmm. So we actually get you from like 0 to audience built and tech in place, and all the things, and out there in 3 months, and then I can support you afterwards if you need. But I like to build cars and then hand people keys. So yeah, independence. This is raising kids. There you go. You're all good. Because I get bored easily. So.
You know, we've noticed that about a lot of entrepreneurs who come on here. They're quick, they're fast, they think fast. They have that tendency, but they're awesome creators and inventors, and they usher in the front end. And I was saying this before we stepped on the interview. I was saying this, that, you know, Michelle, I think you kind of you're ushering in a new way of looking at an entrepreneur, even just by your name alone, the natural entrepreneur, looking at nature, looking at systems. I'm real big on patterns. There's patterns everywhere within our bodies, even in the histology of our body. You see it all the time. You were just talking about it in nature, and it doesn't change. So why would we be any different? Why would business be different? Why would relationships be any different? And I think you've done a great job of bringing that together and creating a package that other people can benefit from. And so,
well,
yeah, go ahead.
You know what I love about it? I love the biodiversity. Like,
oh, great word.
Why would we monoculture ourselves?
Right.
And the source of diversity is inside us. And so every person is a gem with their own journey that brought forward the goods, right? Like a pearl out of an oyster. There's some sand that aggravated it, you know, and now they've got this beautiful pearl. And so I love to, you know, as we shift into this new epoch,
yes,
you know, personalizing business and expressing our soul's purposes is literally going to be the source of biodiversity in business going forward, I think.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Just real quick on that note, that is beautiful. It's, you know, ecosystems will fail when there's only just one, you know, one type of species in there. And so once again, it's nature reflecting that. I love how you brought that up. Like the piece of a puzzle. If you do not have your unique piece in there, the whole puzzle won't work. And you can't change the piece. It's got to be the way it came. It's got to be the real
need all
you.
y'all. Like, we're all here for a reason. So let's bring it.
Oh, I love this. I love this. Michelle, if you're okay with this, and I'd just like to mention one thing before we go here. Oh, first of all, let's put the Natural Entrepreneur. We've got you up there. Go find her on Facebook, y'all. She's got a ton of outlets, a ton of useful tools. She is, you know, just like so many of the guests we've had on here, she's very generous. She truly wants to see everyone. As you can tell, everyone there's enough for everyone. It's abundant. And so, and she's a hoot and a half. So you're going to have fun with her. But we have, oh, my pleasure. It's, we have a friend of ours. We just want to take one moment and on the spiritual level. And if you hear some noise, my dogs just came over here, so they'll be in the background. But there is an individual that we both knew who we just found out recently passed away. His name is Mel, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name correct, but it's Cario, I think. And we both met him through a similar situation. It was great. And Mel was actually supposed to come on the show. An incredible individual who's helped so many. And we just want to send out love and light to his family and wherever that place is that we go afterwards, that next dimension, that's, you know, that next place. And I know that Michelle knew him too. And we just want to share our condolences. And we'll just take like a couple of seconds to shut our eyes and just kind of send that energy. And Michelle, I just want to thank you so much for being here. Your energy has been great. I know that that's what you're going to bring, and you do bring to all of your clients. And anytime you want to come back on, we'd love to have you. And may today be the most abundant, badass day for you. So
thank you. It will be, because I choose that. But
I like it. That's right.
And I'm wishing you enjoy all the best. And thank you so much for having me. It was very gracious of you. And I'm look forward to taking you up on that offer. I'll give you some updates on how things are going.
Please do. Please do. And y'all go check her out. Thank you so much, Michelle. We appreciate it. All right, guys, that was Michelle. Thank you so much for joining us. We so appreciate it. And thank you for sending out that love and light to Mel and his family. please go check out Michelle. She is she's a blast. At the very least, your frequency level is going to raise up, and that means everything in your life is going to get better. So go ahead and check her out. Also, check out 100 for Trees. We've got a website you can go donate on there, which contributes to planting trees. And we will continue to run each month. Stay tuned for February when we start running. You can run virtually too if you want to. So just wanted to say thank you to everyone for being here. We appreciate it. Wishing you guys abundance. Go hug a tree today because it really does feel great. I dare you to. Bye.